Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we've got speaker, facilitator, podcast host, and best-selling author. He is the preeminent expert on creating cultures of belonging because fitting in is not the same as belonging. He's been named a top 30 global leadership guru and Inc. magazine's top leadership speaker numerous times. He has written several books. He's the host of the Dov Baron Show podcast. Spoiler alert, you already know who's coming on. Thrive Loud listeners, excited to bring you the Dov Baron. Dov, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thanks, Lou. It's great to be here. I'm really grateful. It's been too long since we spoke, and I remember our conversations and how much fun we had. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
I'm going to date it right now. Listeners need to know I met Dov in December of 2015. 2015, it was about 9.5 years ago. How about that?
At C-Suite in New York.
In New York City. We had a whole bunch of engaging people put together. And I remembered this very cool accent sounding, very sharply dressed and good looking gentleman who was with us here today. And he really is got the heart and soul of what you look for in people to connect with. He's an amazing communicator, but also he understands, he gets it. So I'm gonna stop yapping. And here's what I want to do. I want to bring the listeners up to speed, Dov. I don't want to go all the way back to the womb, which I guess we could do, but I'm not going to do that. I want to go back and understand what you've been focusing on now, specifically this whole fitting in is not the same as belonging. How this became your message and your gig and what you're doing right now.
It really comes out of the base of my work, which is this human need that we have to belong. We are tribal beings first and foremost. And unfortunately, we've traded this need to belong for the desire to fit in. And fitting in is so that we don't feel alone. And that really came out of the pandemic. That's why it's sort of come to the fore now, is because, as we know, we're in a loneliness epidemic, but we're also in this very tribal behavior where we're seeing very polarized groups. And that really is the same thing. It's this need to belong. And so for companies and organizations, we all heard it was good advice at the time, but, get the right people on the right bus and get them in the right seat. Well, that worked when everybody was coming to the office. Doesn't work anymore. People are not willing to do that. They want to show up as all of themselves. And that sense of belonging is what then they can bring all of their magnificence to your organization. So that's what drove that.
Dov, what percentage of the leaders that you work with or in contact with kind of understand that this is even a problem? And I state this because a lot of them are so focused on whatever they need to be focused on, and they're running 100 miles an hour, focused on the bottom line, or recognizing they're losing their people and trying to figure out how to keep them. How many of them don't even understand this concept that you've brought up? Because I would bet the percentage is probably higher than I think it would be.
I think you're right in that most people don't realize it's the problem until I show them it's the problem. Then they go, oh, of course, that's exactly what it is. The reason we can't keep our top people is because of this. Now it makes sense. But you're right. Leaders are focused on the metrics. They're focused on, how profitable are we, et cetera, et cetera. Instead of saying, hold on a second, there's a way to make profit by making much lower losses. And it costs 1.5 times to 2 times the annual salary of an individual to replace them. So you don't want to lose your good people. We want to keep your great people, but you also want them to say, wow, this is a great culture. I love working here. Let me go tell Bob. Let me go tell Susan. Let me go tell whoever to come work here, because here's what we know for sure. Millennials don't want to fit in, and millennials don't believe, and actually Gen Z too, do not believe in work-life balance. It's nonsense. We all know it's nonsense, but they really are living it's nonsense. What they want is a work-life blend. What does that mean? It means they want to work with their friends. So if you don't create an environment where people feel like they can be open and friendly in the way you would be with your friends, why would I work there?
Dov, making the change to do that. By the way, I believe that too. I think we want to work with the clients that we like. We want to work with the people that we like. I completely agree. There is a liking factor into what we do every day. Totally there. How do we make distinguishing from those outside who are looking at an organization to those that are genuinely trying to believe this culture versus trying to force fit it? I think that's, some leaders are like, oh, we need to make this culture of belonging and whatever it is. And we have to do it. How do we do it genuinely? How does it come from the heart? How does it come from a place that really addresses the empathetic needs that most people are looking for? How do you make that distinguish? And how do you make your people believe it when you're starting to change it?
It's a great question, because otherwise it just looks like another flavor of the month. We're all jumping on this and now we're all going to do that. Well, that doesn't really work at all. So the answer is very simple. Leaders have to lead. What does that mean? It means leaders go first. It means if you want a greater level of compassion and empathy and connection and bonding between your people, you got to show up that way, not just say, oh, this is what we're doing. I remember being brought into an organization to help them with their purpose and their culture, which are my two main focuses with organizations. And I said, do me a favor. This is the founder. And I said, do me a favor, walk me around. So he walks me around and he takes me into this area, which is kind of like a lounge area. There's some nice couches and a couple of beanbags and there's a coffee machine and blah, blah, blah. But nobody is in there. I said, why is nobody in here? And he goes, this is my point. I do all these things for these people and they don't even bother. And I said, so they don't come in here? He goes, no. I go, oh, okay. Can I ask you a question? And he goes, yeah. I said, how often do you sit out here? He goes, well, I have my office. It's over there. And I have an open door policy. People can come in. I go, is your door closed? And he goes, not all the time. I go, okay. So here's the deal, mate. Nobody's coming to sit in this area. And he goes, why? I said, because your office looks onto this area and they feel like you're watching them. Nobody feels safe to be here. But if you were in this area, then there would be safety. You have to lead by example. And I said, one more question for you. And he goes, what? I said, who did you ask about putting in this lounge area and this coffee machine and the foosball machine? He goes, I didn't ask anybody. I read all the books on it and this is the thing to do. And I go, there's another problem. If you're not consulting with your people, you're assuming what it is that they want rather than asking them. They may come up with exactly the same things, but if it's not their idea, they're not invested in it. And if they're not invested in it, why would they participate, particularly if you're looking on and not doing it? It just feels like I'm going to get shit for relaxing, for taking time off. It's not going to work. You have to lead. You have to show up in your vulnerability. You have to show up in your compassion. You have to lead the way. Don't say, oh, well, we're having a culture of belonging and we're all going to be vulnerable now. Yeah, and what do we know about you? Nothing.
I love it. I love it because Dov is just really, it's so true though, right? I mean, this is the true, and it's amazing that they can't see it. And so, look, I was trying to figure it out one day. I had a conversation with someone in a very traditional organization from a very old traditional financial industry. And I remembered that they recognized something important. They said, for us to make the changes, it's got to be like a little bit of a slow burn. And they made a comment because we have many, many more people that are from the older generation. So to adapt them will be harder versus those that obviously have people from a different one. But in the same sense, they're trying to attract new ones. So how do they blend that? And they said, they called it what it is. I go, look, we know we need to make changes. In fact, we tell people that all the time. In fact, we're looking to you to help us make those changes. In fact, I've even seen that he said this. He goes, in one of the interviews, when we were interviewing your candidates, we use it as an opportunity to say, what do you want to see in your workplace? What would you like to see? And I thought that was brilliant because they know that they might not get there tomorrow, but at least they're trying to adapt and try to fit in that same way.
But they've got to not just ask it, which is important. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But that older generation are the ones who have to model it. So everybody's like looking to the younger generation. Like, shut up, stop, lead or don't lead, one or the other. And if you're not going to lead, get out of the way and let other people lead. If you're going to lead, then lead. And what does that mean? It means you have to step into discomfort. There is no growth in comfort. All growth happens in discomfort. The bud must break through the bark on a tree. All growth requires a level of tension and pushing, and that's what we all need to do. So I'm not comfortable with doing this. Good. Okay, great. Now you're going to grow. Congratulations. That's how it works. Well, I'm going to, I'd like to be in great shape, but I don't want to lift weights. Well, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. That's how it works. This is how life works. Everything about your life happens, everything good about your life happens in the discomfort, not in the comfort. And this is the challenge that we're all facing. We hold on to comfort. And we need, of course, we all want to be comfortable, but at the same time, your growth is going to come from embracing discomfort.
Dov, how are you embracing discomfort? Talk to me about what you personally are doing to constantly grow and stretch yourself to get yourself out of your comfort zone. What are some of the things that Dov Baron is doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, or things he's always revisiting?
So I think because it's the sign off on my shows, it's the sign off on everything I write. And as you know, Lou, I traveled the world to study with different religious philosophies, as well as a bunch of other different things. But when people ask me, what's your religion? My religion is always curiosity. My religion is curiosity. It's one of the 7 emotional pathways, and it is the most important one. It allows us to grow. So I have to stay curious. And what that means is I have to be curious, particularly about the things that I think I'm certain of. So I have a high level of certainty about what I'm certain of, but I also have a high level of willingness to question it. So I can remember interviewing a very famous economist who said something, and I responded back, and she just said to me, "You're absolutely wrong." And I said, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Excellent. Tell me more." And she was like stunned. And she said, in the break, she said to me, "I was really surprised that you said excellent." I go, "Well, that means I can learn something. I have no problem being wrong if you can show me where I'm wrong. If you're going to tell me I'm wrong just because you don't agree with me, that's different. But give me an opportunity to learn." So I'm constantly challenging myself to learn, challenging myself to grow. I now have grandchildren, and I'm so delighted to have them. They're the joy of my life. But I'm constantly going, I would have parented this way. I can't grandparent that way. I'm being willing to be questioned on everything. It's not comfortable, but it's where all growth takes place. And so that for me is questioning those things. Many years ago, one of my mentors said to me, "Tell me something you don't believe in. Tell me something that you think is absolute bullshit, Dov." And I told him, and he said, "Now go away and study that for 1 month and come back to me and tell me the truth in it."
I love that.
And I went, "Okay." And I went away and I studied it and I came back. And by the way, the stuff I went and studied, I have 4 books on it on my shelf right now that are from 30 years ago. Because even in the things I don't believe in, even the things I think are lies, I can find those kernels of truth. And this is what allows us to have compassion. This is what allows us to move out of tribalism. This is what allows us to be curious about somebody who seems to be so different than me that I can learn so much from.
Listeners need to know, you need to check out the video of this episode so we can validate that Dov was 10 years old, obviously, when he had kids. The fact that he is a grandparent now, which is just mind-boggling to me, by the way.
6 grandkids.
6 grandkids.
Yep, 6 grandkids. And here's the best news. The youngest is 18 months and the eldest is 30.
I'm doing the math there. That just broke my brain. I'm not going there.
Well, where I'm born, we have children very young. I started when I was 9.
I said 10. I was close. I knew I was right there.
Exactly.
So you have been giving the world unbelievable gifts, not only through your speaking, but from the books you've created, and most notably as a content creator and a fellow podcaster, you've been giving this incredible gift of this amazing show, the Dov Baron Show. Everybody will put links to check out everything that he's got going on, which means that you've been giving gifts to everyone. Yet I've always found that great content creators, there's a happy accident that happens. In the gifts that you create, you in turn end up getting a gift from the content you're creating. I would love to hear, whether the podcast or any of the books you've written of late, what's the gift that you've received in return for what you've put out there in the universe?
Oh, that's a great question, Lou. Thank you. That's a really great question. I think the gift of the podcast is this, what's happening with you right now. I get to have amazing conversations with people who are absolute megastars, oftentimes that nobody knows about. What I mean is that they're megastars inside of their industry. So I speak to theologians, famous theologians who are famous from Cambridge University, or famous quantum physicists, or famous psychologists or neuroscientists that nobody's ever heard of outside of their field. They're megastars in their field, and having those conversations for me is just an enormous gift, because I'm a polymath. I study lots of different things in great depth, and so having these wonderful conversations about those different things is such joy to me. My wife will say to me, "How was the show?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it was so delicious!" And then I start telling her about it, and she was like, "What?" I go, "If you listen to the show, it'll make sense." But so that's one of the greatest gifts for me. The other gift is in the work, and I can remember, and this has become part of my life's purpose. I can remember delivering a 5-day training, and at the end of that training, people line up, they're very generous, and they said, "I want to thank you, blah, blah, blah." And I realized that I was very bad at accepting compliments. I don't know if you've had that experience. Somebody says something to you, it hits the plexiglass. "Oh yeah, you're very welcome." But it's like, did that go in? No, but if they said, "Oh, what you said over here was shit," that'll stick. So it was like, okay, so I decided to train myself to let it in. And when I did that, was this lady came up and she stood in front of me and she said, "I want to thank you." And I said, "I'm having problems taking this in. So can I ask you specifically for what?" And she said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "For the relationship with my daughter and the relationship with my grandchildren." And I said, "Well, first of all, you don't look old enough to be a grandmother." And she goes, "Well, I'm
She
not
must know
yet."
you. She's in the circle you're hanging out with. That doesn't seem so uncommon.
And she said, "I'm not yet, but I'm here with my daughter. And as you can see over there, she's pregnant." She points to this lady. She's pregnant. She goes, "My daughter and I have had a tumultuous relationship. And as a result, I might not have had a relationship with my grandchildren. But from everything I've learned from you, I will now have a wonderful relationship with my daughter and with my granddaughter or grandchildren." And I went, wow. Like I took that in, because what I realized from that is, and this is now part of my purpose, is to impact the lives of people whose names I do not know, and who will never know my name. And I'm good with that. So it's creating that ripple. What a gift that is.
Yeah, it's well said. And I love what you said about taking in the gratitude. I had a tough time accepting thanks, and I used to push it away. Like, no, no need to thank. The work was with you, kind of reflecting it back on people, and then recognizing that it takes a lot of effort for somebody to just come out and say thank you, and you need to accept that as the gift itself. So that's beautiful, by the way. I wonder.
I'll give you another quick example of that that I think is important for people to learn, and that's this: if you love giving gifts, so if you've noticed that you're kind of crappy at receiving, but you love giving gifts, and in your mind, put your hand up. Now that you've done that, I want you to imagine really choosing a gift for somebody that is beautiful, it's perfect, it's exactly what they need, and you go to give it them, and they go, no, thank you. And you go, "What?" And you go, "It's too much. I'm not comfortable with taking it." How would you feel trying to give your gift and they can't receive it? Would feel horrible, wouldn't it? Exactly. So remember that next time somebody wants to give you the gift of recognizing, validating, and appreciating you. You are denying them the gift of giving.
That's right. That's what I learned. And to everyone listening, thank you. And you can send us thanks back, and we will accept it. I'm thanking Dov here for him being on the program.
But that's the point for us as podcasters. It's oftentimes a one-way street. Like, we don't know. Like, for all the millions of downloads there is each year for our shows, for your show, for my show, how often does a review show up or somebody writes you and says, hey, this really had impact? When it does, it has massive impact on me. Like, I'm running around in my missus saying, look at this it really impacted them. That is important to us. And I don't think people realize that. It's a passive thing. But we really do need that because it's validating.
We just had our 1000th episode here on Thrive Loud, and most people might have seen this if they follow the show or anything of me on social. Is that my team put together, and my team did this without me, which was the craziest thing, because like they went out and they went to all the guests who've been on the show before and said, Lou's having the 1000th episode. Would you like to say something? And you have to see what they came back with. There's like a montage of this stuff. We only showed like the quick seconds of the stuff that was there. I was not only brought to tears. I don't think I could speak because it felt like it was too much. But afterwards, when you realize how much the content means to so many people, and that's what I say to people like yourself who are giving it out there, we don't always get that feedback back.
No.
And when we do, it's I'll take it in with arms. I think it's a good perspective because we tend to give more as coaches, as leaders, as speakers, facilitators, and authors. We're giving constant gifts. So it is so important for us to take that stuff back whenever it comes. So well said, by the way, Dov.
Thank you,
let's do the admin part of the show. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, social handles, just wherever you want to throw them. We'll put them in the show notes, but it gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So first thing is you can go to dovbaron.com. That's DOVBARON.com. That's my main website. You can find most things there. My show, as Lou mentioned, is the Dov Baron Show. Exactly the same name. Easy to find. 16 years, I think we've been broadcasting now. So it's been a while. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn. I write for LinkedIn every Tuesday, a newsletter, but I post on LinkedIn every single day, articles, videos, etc. And then you can find us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, same thing, Dov Baron, and Twitter and everywhere else. You can look for all those places. But here's the thing. If you really want to reach out to me, just go and write an email. I know it's insane. Dov@dovbaron.com. I know people think I'm insane for doing that, but just write to me. I actually respond to emails. You can do that. Or you can message me inside of LinkedIn and I'll respond to you. I would actually love to hear from you and tell me what you got out of this show. I want to know not only what you got from it, but what will you do with it? That's what matters more. And here's something else I'm going to tell you. Now, Lou's not asked me to do this. I'm doing this. Sorry, Lou. I'm going to take a moment here.
No,
I want you to write to Lou and tell him what you get out of the show, not just my episode, but any episode. Because I know, as a podcaster, I know the effort and energy it takes to put together a show. It's not just the time of you're listening to. There's many, many, many more hours going into it. So write to him. Tell him what you got out of the show, what you're going to do with it. Write to me. And if I can be of service to you, I'm here on the planet to serve. So tell me how I can serve you. If it's not directly and it's indirectly, reach out. That's okay. I'm here to serve. So again, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. No, not Facebook. YouTube,
Instagram. We'll get you on Instagram. We'll get you all these places.
If you want to see pictures of me with some of my younger grandkids, go to Instagram. That's mostly what I use it for.
Yeah, I was just going to say the amazing response of this immediately, Dov. Someone already has communicated back. They go, Lou, thank you so much. I really want to know what Dov takes so that he could look so young and have grandkids that old. Okay. All right, my friend, we are going to go down Fun Street here. I want to start off, if you could, can you share with the listeners, if you remembered, what you shared with me as one of your all-time favorite movies?
Oh, my God. I do forget now. I forgot.
Give you the Guy
Revolver.
Ritchie.
Yes, of course. Revolver. Revolver is an amazing movie. If you're a Guy Ritchie fan and you like Two Smoking Barrels, etc., and you love his British humor, British gangster humor, then this is a Guy Ritchie movie, but it's not a Guy Ritchie movie in the traditional sense. And a lot of Guy Ritchie fans don't like it because it is so profound. It's one of my favorite movies. Jason Statham is in it, not playing Jason Statham, not the usual kick him up and all the rest of it, but it is like I watched it. I just delivered a 5-day training and my friend said, you got to watch this movie. And I'm like, okay. And I'm 20 minutes in going, oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't know if I can watch this. And it was literally like within a minute of saying that, I went, oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever. And I recommend it all the time. And I don't watch movies more than once usually. I've seen that multiple times. So you got to see it. But you got to see it while you're awake. And I would encourage you to keep a notepad.
Awesome.
Because that is going to really.
I just finished the series The Gentleman. Did you get a chance to watch that on Netflix?
Of course, I watched the
Also
movie.
Yes, the movie.
And the series was really good too.
It was well
particularly
done.
like the chicken outfit.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
All of it was good. Listeners, go check it out. Watch it when you can. Okay.
Yeah.
We are going to do the speakeasy pub crawl, the speed round. We're going to stroll down Fun Street to all the fun things that matter the most to Dov Baron. And we'll start off with this. Dov, can you share with the listeners, do you have a song that you love to listen to of late or one that pumps you up?
Of late or one that pumps me up? You know, I am such a music freak. I mean, everything from the Sex Pistols to Beethoven. So I really do.
That's range.
I have a lot of range. The only thing that doesn't fall into that is modern country music, although I love Johnny Cash. But the rest of it,
I wouldn't call him modern, but that's okay.
No, I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I like him.
Yes.
The modern stuff I'm not a fan of. I love Johnny Cash. Love Johnny Cash.
Like the Sex
Pistols. Particularly his version of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt is outstanding. That's definitely a brilliant song for when you're feeling like your heart's being pulled and you need to get in touch with those emotions. That is magnificent song. But You're the Voice is a song that I play all the time by John Farnham.
Yeah.
And it says, you're the voice, try and understand it. That you have the power, that it's like your voice that matters. And In the Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
For those of us who've had issues with our dads, you got to listen to that song, because particularly if you've become a dad. Yeah. In the Living Years is a powerful, powerful song.
Favorite food that's not a dessert?
A dessert would never fall onto my list anyway. So favorite food would be a good Fijian curry. Goat curry, particularly.
If you're not having dessert, what would be your favorite drink of choice?
Favorite drink of choice would probably be if I'm going to drink alcohol, which I rarely do, it would be an añejo tequila, a very old aged tequila. I have maybe 3 drinks a year, and it only is an añejo tequila. I've got collected ones. You know, my friends will give me these collections. I've got this bar, and I said to my wife, "We should just get rid of this. We never drink, either of us." And she's like, "Yeah, it was nice to have for people." It's like, it looks like I'm an alcoholic because there's so much booze, but we don't drink. Neither of us.
As I'm looking outside, I got one of those too. Maybe I am. Who knows? Anyway, all right. An activity you wish you did more of?
To this day, it's gardening.
Oh, okay.
Somebody asked my wife one day, what would Dov do if he wasn't doing what he does? And I'm thinking, oh yeah, it could be there. She goes, shut up, it's obvious you'd be a gardener. I'm like, it's gardening. I just love gardening. I don't get to do enough of it. I actually live in an apartment, and part of the deal with moving into this apartment was to take out one of the balconies. It's all glassed in. Take it out and turn it into an indoor garden, and that's what I have.
Oh, nice.
Right?
I like that.
So my little grandkids like to go in there and mess with the flowers, and I'd give them a tour of the edible plants. It's very cool.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Oh, that's a good question, man. Activity I did less of now or in my history?
Right now.
Right now. Activity I did less of. I would say probably scrolling.
Fair enough.
Probably
a new activity you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell everybody else to try.
That is using AI for research.
Oh, okay.
Using AI for research. So I've always done a lot of research for the stuff that I put out, and it's literally cut that down by at least 5 times to be able to do the research and then research the research it gives me because I don't trust it.
Yeah.
But like, okay, now let me go here and then I'll look up that and who's this buying. But that's for me is because I'm curious. I'm simply curious. I love doing that. I love finding out stuff, and I love finding out stuff about things I don't know. So it's like, oh, really? I like going down dark rabbit holes and finding out stuff that is like, yeah. So using it for that, I like.
We just had a family member's milestone birthday. I'm very good at writing poems and things like that for these occasions, and I was stuck. And I said, I'm going to plug this into AI and see if I could come up with something. And it didn't give me exactly what I wanted. However, it opened my own brain up into said, oh, but I can go down that way. And then I came up with something really good for it. It was a great, like, it's like almost like a group think type thing. Like, someone shout out ideas and then shout out ideas.
Well, that's what I like about it. What I like about AI is we've all, if you're a writer, up until presently, you've all sat in front of a blank sheet, and there's nothing more intimidating than that blank sheet. But what I love about AI from that point of view is I can use it to make sure I don't start with a blank sheet. So I say, I'm thinking about writing a piece on this. And I say, give me 100-word short post about this. Do I like that? No. Click again. Click. Oh, and it's a catalyst then. It's like this place to jump off. So like I said, exactly. It's like a group thing, and I love it for that.
Yes.
I love it for that. I'm never going to use what it gives me, but I love it for the inspiration. The like, I'm off on a tangent. So I love that. Totally.
Yeah. I like the way the catalyst. It's a good way to do it. If I could snap my fingers and Dov Baron could be anywhere in the world, where is he?
I would probably be in Fiji, which is where my wife is from. Okay. In Fiji on holiday with my entire family. So with the 6 grandkids, with the 3 kids and their partners, and us. No other family, just them. Let's be real about it. Okay. So the 3 kids, their partners, who I love and enjoy, and all 6 of the grandkids, and I guess my eldest grandson's girlfriend, because he's 30, he's going to have his own thing. But I would have us all together on a small island in Fiji. That would be it, because I love the sun. I love the heat. It never gets too hot for me. My wife is from Fiji, so she'd be going home. And it would give a chance for the kids to have a sense of their ancestral home, which I just think is a beautiful thing for them to know.
Dov, if you ever want to have some heat, come on and visit me right now down here in South Florida. We got plenty of it. We've plenty of it to give around and share.
You got enough to share?
we've got enough to share. Dov Baron, man, the myth, the legend. Those who didn't know, that's how he and I started this conversation. First of all, great to finally get you on the show. It took me amazing time to say, how have I not had Dov on the show? But, life gets in the way sometimes. Hey, all the best to you. Continued success in everything you're doing. Everybody check out all the links, all the places you can find it. Fitting in is not the same as belonging, and Dov will show you how to create that culture for it. Thanks again for coming on Thrive Loud, my brother.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and honor. I am really grateful that we got to have this conversation. Thank you.
You too. To all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.